The lights were warm, the band was smiling, and Bryan walked onto the Jennifer Hudson Show with his usual easy grin, the kind that had carried him through sold-out arenas and countless TV appearances. He waved to the audience, tipping his hat slightly, soaking in the cheers like second nature. Jennifer Hudson met him center stage with a hug that felt friendly and sincere, and for a moment, it looked like just another relaxed celebrity interview. Music, laughter, and good vibes all around. Luke settled into his chair, joking about jet lag and tour buses, while Jennifer laughed easily, clearly enjoying the rhythm of the conversation. They talked about his latest tour first, how exhausting it was, how energizing the fans could be, how some nights blurred together while others stayed with him forever. Luke spoke with that familiar mix of humor and humility, telling a story about getting lost backstage at one of his own shows. The audience laughed, the band chimed in with a playful riff, and Jennifer clapped her hands, teasing him about being too famous to find the door. Everything felt loose, almost scripted in its comfort. Jennifer then steered the conversation toward Luke's journey in country music, praising his longevity and influence. Luke nodded appreciatively, saying he felt lucky to still be doing what he loved. He talked about new artists coming up, about how the industry had changed, and about how social media had made everyone more visible and more vulnerable. His tone shifted slightly here, becoming thoughtful, even cautious, but the warmth hadn't left the room yet. That's when Jennifer gently brought up an old interview clip. She didn't accuse or attack. She simply referenced a comment Luke had once made about artists staying in their lane and knowing their audience. She asked it with curiosity, not confrontation, tilting her head as if genuinely wanting clarity. At first, Luke chuckled, brushing it off as something taken out of context. He leaned back, relaxed, saying people online love to twist words. The audience murmured in agreement, and for a split second, it seemed like the moment would pass. But Jennifer didn't drop it. Calmly, she followed up, asking what he meant by that phrase and whether he thought it limited artistic expression. Her voice stayed soft, but her question landed heavier than before. Luke leaned forward now, elbows on his knees, choosing his words carefully. He talked about respect for genres, about understanding roots, about not wanting music to lose its identity. His smile thinned, not gone, but strained. As he spoke, the energy in the studio subtly shifted. The band quieted. The audience, once chatty, listened closely. Jennifer nodded as he explained, but then she asked another question, this time more direct. Did those beliefs ever make artists from different backgrounds feel unwelcome? The room went still. Luke paused longer than before, his jaw tightening just a little. He laughed once, short and uneasy, and said he never meant it that way. Jennifer remained composed, but she leaned in slightly, signaling she wasn't finished. She talked about inclusivity, about voices crossing boundaries, about how music could be a bridge rather than a fence. Her words were thoughtful, not aggressive, yet they clearly challenged Luke's perspective. He shifted in his seat, crossing and uncrossing his arms, nodding while clearly wrestling with how to respond without sounding defensive. Luke began to explain again, this time more firmly, insisting he supported all artists but believed authenticity mattered. His tone grew more serious, less playful. The charm that usually wrapped his words felt forced now, like a jacket that no longer fit. Jennifer listened, eyes steady, then gently pointed out how powerful words could be, especially when spoken by someone with his influence. A faint ripple of tension moved through the audience. Some nodded along with Jennifer, others watched Luke closely, sensing the discomfort building. Luke cleared his throat, glancing briefly toward the band, then back to Jennifer. He tried to pivot, joking that talk shows always got deeper than expected, but the laugh didn't fully land. Jennifer smiled politely, yet asked one last question in this stretch of the conversation, whether he would phrase that comment differently today. It was simple, but it felt like a spotlight suddenly turned too bright. Luke hesitated, fingers tapping lightly against the arm of his chair. For the first time since he'd walked on stage, he looked genuinely unsettled. The easy rhythm of the interview was gone now, replaced by a quiet intensity. Luke finally answered, carefully, saying he might choose his words more cautiously but stood by the heart of what he meant. The audience response was mixed, some applause, some silence. Jennifer nodded slowly, absorbing his answer, her expression thoughtful rather than satisfied. As the cameras kept rolling, Luke straightened up, forcing a smile back onto his face, but it didn't reach his eyes. The atmosphere felt fragile, like one more question could tip everything over. What had begun as a friendly chat now carried an edge, and everyone in the room could feel it, an unspoken sense that something bigger was brewing just beneath the surface. The pause after Luke's last answer stretched longer than anyone expected. Jennifer held her composure, nodding slowly, but the air felt thick, almost heavy, like the studio lights had suddenly grown hotter. Luke shifted in his seat again, forcing a small grin as if to signal he was ready to move on, but his body language told a different story. His shoulders were stiff, his hands no longer relaxed. The easy confidence he usually carried on camera had been replaced by something closer to guarded restraint. Jennifer tried to soften the moment, offering a brief smile and a light comment about how conversations like these were important, even when they were uncomfortable. The band played a gentle transition note, hoping to reset the mood. Luke chuckled politely, but the sound came out flat. He nodded, murmuring agreement, yet his eyes drifted away from Jennifer for a split second, scanning the studio like he was looking for an exit that hadn't existed when he first walked in. She followed up, not with an attack, but with reflection. She spoke about her own experiences in the industry, about moments when words spoken casually had lingered longer than intended. Her voice carried empathy, but it also carried weight. Luke listened, jaw set, tapping his foot lightly against the floor. Each tap felt louder than the last in the sudden quiet of the room. When Jennifer finished, she turned the conversation back to him, inviting him to respond. Luke inhaled deeply, then exhaled through his nose. He began speaking slowly, choosing each word with care, explaining that he never wanted to shut doors for anyone, that his intention had always been about honoring traditions, not excluding people. But as he spoke, a defensive edge crept in. His tone sharpened just enough for the audience to notice. Jennifer gently challenged him again, pointing out how intentions and impact didn't always line up. It wasn't accusatory, it was thoughtful, but something in Luke snapped. Not explosively, not loudly, but inwardly. He stopped mid-sentence, pressed his lips together, and shook his head. A tight smile crossed his face, the kind people use when